Hi, I'm Wes Morgan with JoeInsider.com, and I'm joined by Sturgis Athletic Director Mark Adams, who's been gracious enough to give us a few minutes of his time during an extremely busy August, gearing up for fall sports, and just a few weeks away now. It's a brief rundown of the individual teams going into this season. You had a lot of success last year, a lot of interesting things happened, individual success, team success. Let's start with cross country. I think you lose one senior.
That's correct. Stephen Griffith will be the lone senior that, I shouldn't say that. Austin Trzynski's also, he was kind of injured last year, so wasn't that heavily involved. But Stephen Griffith set the record in the 5K, and he set some records in track, so he'll be sorely missed.
Right.
Really good kid and a good competitor.
But a team with a lot of experience that did well, finished, 11th?
11th
state
state,
finals?
yeah. And they've got some good young kids back. You know, Grant Brown comes back. He's big, strong runner. He'll be a good leader for the team. Also have a couple of young guys. Sean Bell, who was a freshman last year, and Daniel Steele, also a freshman. Those guys had phenomenal seasons in cross country and continued in track. So I look, they'll be a little bit young, but they've got some really good runners and some other kids coming that, I think they're going to have a really nice season.
And on the girls' side, Coach Emerson Green also has Peyton Boughton.
Peyton Boughton set the record last year in a 5K, and again, a phenomenal runner, very strong runner, just a real smart kid, great kid, very focused. She'll lead that team. She's going to need some help. They were quite young last year, but Peyton obviously is the person to look for to have a lot of success this season.
I know they're putting the work in. I've seen them out on the country roads and beating the streets this summer, so they're putting the time in. We moved to football. Interesting year last year. A 5-4 overall record, 4-3 in the SMAC. One of the big headlines, obviously, was a coaching change mid-year. Jim Lamb stepped in as offensive coordinator, moved to interim head coach, and he will be back as the head coach this year. Can you talk about how he handled taking over last year, kind of during a tough situation, and why you decided to go with him as a head coach moving forward?
Well, Jimmy's a consummate professional. He just did a nice job. It was a very tough situation, but he did a nice job with it in the transition. I think he's built some really nice relationships with the returning players, and I think he's put together a very good coaching staff. And Jim has been involved in Sturgis football for 13 years in different roles, and I really thought he deserved an opportunity to become the head coach. Like I said, I've seen the work that's been going on in the off season. I've heard the kids talk. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think Coach Lamb has done a good job in the transition, and I really think it's going to be an exciting year for a lot of reasons. Of course, we returned Chance Stewart, who's all-state quarterback, who's committed to play at Western Michigan University. We also have Matt Phillips back, who's going to play a different role this year, from my understanding. He'll be in the backfield.
Okay.
And Matt's a big, strong kid that can really run. I would hate to try to tackle him. He's also a good defensive player. I think we have a lot of experience returning on the offensive line as well. With Cole DeHaze, who was a sophomore playing on the varsity until he was injured, playing center. We also have Adam Yunker returning. He'll be one of the guards. And then we've got Morgan Solly, great big kid that played a lot as a sophomore in the varsity. I think Taylor Mayo is a kid that didn't get a lot of time, but I've watched him work this year in the weight room and other things, and he's done a nice job too. Receiving core, we've got Jack Kaywood back from last year. Calvin Bowdish is going to move. He was in the backfield. He'll move out to more of a receiver this year. We've got some other kids coming out that haven't been out in the last few years that I think are going to contribute. I think we're going to have more depth and good numbers, so I'm really looking forward to a nice football season.
And obviously there's going to be some continuity there, not only with Jim back, but he was the offensive coordinator, so schematically it's going to be pretty fresh in these kids' minds. They were doing it last year. They were doing it the year before that.
Correct. I don't think Jim's going to make a lot of changes in the offensive schemes. I think he and Chance have developed a really good relationship, and they trust each other. But it's going to look a lot the same. I think Jimmy is kind of creative sometimes, but I think it'll be a lot of the schemes that it won't have to. The kids won't be looking at trying to learn a lot of new things.
Right. with Chance, I certainly don't expect you to speak on his behalf, but I mean, do you notice that after he got the college decision out of the way, there was more that went into it. There was obviously the Wisconsin verbal commitment, but then the coaching change happened, and he settled on Western Michigan. Having that out of the way, do you think that's kind of a load off his shoulders? He can kind of relax and go out and play?
Yeah, I believe it is. A lot of kids truly enjoy the recruiting process. I think Chance, it was intriguing to Chance, but I don't think he wanted to be distracted by it, so that's a good point. I think he will relax and move on. I think Western Michigan's a great place for him. They've got a new coach up there that's really dynamic, young coach.
Energetic.
Chance is really taken to him and him to Chance, so that's going to be a nice situation. But, yeah, I think it'll be a really nice season for Chance. He'll be able to relax, doesn't have to worry about going to his performance on the field, which should be outstanding, and worried about how things are going to play out with his college career. It was unfortunate, the whole Wisconsin thing. Obviously, he didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming.
Right.
Nobody saw that coming. But I still think Western will be a phenomenal fit. I'll get to go watch him all.
Right.
I think the community will rally behind Western a little bit more because Chance is up there.
He'll have a lot of support there.
Yeah. Yep.
And there are probably a lot of people on the Wisconsin roster right now that are surprised by the move, too.
Yeah.
So that's the way college football works. But, moving on, we have girls golf, boys soccer. What can you tell me about these squads?
Ken Shaw was in his first year last year as the girls' varsity coach. He, got a bunch of young kids to come out. Taylor Clark returns as a sophomore. Allison Harker also returns as a sophomore. Hannah Millard will be a returning junior. Last year, I think the difficult part was as hard as it is to believe about golf, the conditioning and the wear and tear. Some of those girls, you play a bunch of 18-round tournaments. They were exhausted by the end of the year. They weren't used to that.
Right.
And Coach talked to me about that. He's like, man, we need to shorten some of those, not go to so many 18-hole tournaments, which, is interesting, but it is. It can wear on you, especially when the girls are young. But they gained a lot of experience last year, finished strong. I look forward to them having a nice season this year, too. Boys soccer, they've got a lot of returning players. Soccer has become so competitive around here. For a while, we were kind of moving ahead of everybody else, but then all of a sudden, Battle Creek Central's become good in the SMAC East. Coldwater's good. Marshall's good. Everybody's good now. Soccer's such a popular sport. It's very competitive. It's unbelievable, the level of competition in the SMAC East. Throughout the conference, actually. It's just a very competitive conference for soccer. So I think sometimes we're a little bit small physically, and some of those big teams, they look like football players in some of those schools. And it's the same in girls soccer. They're just big kids that are fast playing now. And sometimes we're a little small, and our kids get physically worn out sometimes, but we're fast and we're smart, and our kids play together all the time. You see them playing together around the community all the time. So I think we'll be okay. I think, Eric Patino returns. He'll be I believe a junior this year. Enrique Lopez, very good player. He also kicks for the football team. I think he's going to do that again this year. Isaiah Royakers, he's probably one of our bigger, stronger kids. He's got a football body, very tough-nosed kid, plays defense for us. And then Carlos Maldonado, another guy that's played varsity for several years. So I look forward to our soccer team having a nice season as well.
Girls swimming and diving finished 21st at the state finals last year, I believe. Lost quite a few athletes, or are they going to be a pretty young team this year?
They'll be extremely young. Aaliyah Penner's the returning diver. She had a really nice season last year. Expect big things from her this year, and I know she does of herself. And then Jessica Klein's one of the better returning swimmers, and an upperclassman. So I think those two will probably lead the team. Swimming, again, I think moving to the Wolverine Conference next year, there's some good swimming team. But, we lost when Albion went out of business or whatever it is they did. That's 2 swim meets we lost.
Right.
So it's getting harder to find some meets for some of these kids down this part of the state. So they're working hard, and we've got a really good youth program here. So they'll be young this year, but I think they'll have a nice season as well.
With boys tennis, there's always been a strong tradition here at Sturgis. We were talking about this the other day. Just like with any program, there are some ups and downs, but this has been traditionally a very strong team. You were pretty excited about this team going into the fall sports this year.
Yeah, well, they lost their number one player. White is gone. He graduated, but boy, they've got some good kids coming back. Eric Bartley is coming back, and he's a very good player. I've watched these kids all summer down at the tennis courts. When I drive by, they put in a lot of time, and Andrew Airgood, I guess, has made a lot of strides this summer. He's going to be another nice returner. There's a bunch of them. Avery Peterson's coming back. They only lost the one guy, the senior, Nick Ream is back, Seth Miller, Chris Ransberger, Ben and Nat Sisson. I put a lot of pressure on Coach Earl, but he's the one that keeps telling me they're going to be pretty good. But I think they have a chance. Obviously we got to get through the regionals, and you have to fight through injuries and various other things. But if things go well, I think we're going to finish as well in the state this year as we have in a long time.
And last in alphabetical order, certainly not least, volleyball. 33-21-1 last season, 5-6 in the SMAC. What do you think about this squad as they get ready to start in the next few weeks?
Well, they only lost one senior as well. Bailey Lewis is the lone senior that graduated. They've got a lot of really good kids coming back. Rachel Anderson's obviously the best hitter we have. She's 6'1", very athletic. I know she played a lot of volleyball between last season and this season. She's playing on a high-level AAU team, as are some of the others. Jamie Leoy has had a phenomenal summer. She made one of the travel teams, or a USA team she's made this summer. So she's played at a high level and gotten a lot of good experience, as has Kelsey Metzger. Those girls all play a lot of volleyball in the offseason, so it's only going to make them better. And not one of them will be a senior this year. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be exciting that they're all coming back. I think this will be a good year, but I think next year will be even better. But there's some exciting kids. Holly Myers is another one. And Nicolette Nelson was a freshman, big, tall girl that did a lot of really nice things in basketball, track, and volleyball last year. And I think she'll have a nice volleyball. So we've got size, we've got skill. I'm excited about our upcoming volleyball season. I think Coach Metzger's done a nice job developing those kids. And like I said, they all play a lot of volleyball in the off season, and that can only help them.
Well, there are a lot of interesting things going on here. The countdown begins now. We're, again, a few weeks away from the start of the sports season. There have been a lot of upgrades, I can tell, around Sturgis. I know some of them didn't take place just this year, but walking around the campus, everything looks sharp. The track was redone. The basketball floor was redone. Anything else you can tell us in terms of what's been going on grounds-wise here at Sturgis this summer?
Well, we're finally going to have a concession stand restroom facility out at the soccer field. I think I've been pushing for that for a couple of years, several years actually. It's finally coming to fruition. They've broken ground. They're out there digging. There's dirt laying all over the place out there. Hopefully it'll be done by the time the season starts. I think it will be. But they deserve that. Our soccer teams have been pretty good in the past, and our fans out there deserve to have a nice restroom and concession facility, and our visiting fans as well. The football stadium, boy, that grass looks great. The rain this summer. Mm-hmm. Our grounds crew does a tremendous job with that grass. The kids keep pushing me for the synthetic turf. Man, we've got the best field in the world out there. It looks tremendous. They did some things to that in the spring, and they're constantly working on it. We upgraded the sound system. That really needed it. I, at times, was a little embarrassed about our sound system. But that's, those are the few things we really need to upgrade. We have tremendous facilities here at Sturgis High School. You mentioned the track. The track's in great shape. Our baseball and softball fields, soccer fields. A lot of schools don't even have a soccer field. They play on a football stadium. We have several basketball courts that keeps us from having to compact our schedules, practice schedules. I'm just really proud of the facilities we have here at Sturgis Public Schools. I think the community and the school board and the administration really do a great job of supporting athletics here. And teams come here and I had an athletic director last year. He didn't want to walk on the football field. He said, "Man, it's so nice. I didn't want to go out there." So I just think I'm really proud of what we have here. There's some things we can improve, but very pleased with what we have and the support we get from the community.
Great. Well, again, we appreciate you taking the time, Mark, to talk about the fall sports season. We'll hopefully do this again when the winter sports roll around, but we don't want to jump ahead of ourselves here. A lot's about to happen, and it's getting exciting around here, but thanks for breaking it down for us, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Wes, and I think this is a great thing you're doing, and I wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you.